Real quick though, our boy Paul Tassi, who's had a bad week, he got clapped back by Star Wars Theory after he tried to come after him for being toxic. He got clapped over Concord. He got clapped over Assassin's Creed. He's now getting clapped here, and I posted this on X. He's now getting butthurt. Paul's getting butthurt over First Descendant, saying Summer Viesa is the final shape for the sexy costume crowds. There's nothing left, just nudity, just a naked chick walking around with guns. Mission accomplished. Somehow a swimsuit is naked, right? And I wonder if that's how he fucking acts when it's an e-girl on Twitch, right? Oh no, then it's yes, queen, go wear your swimsuit, right? But when it's a video game girl that's hot, we can't have that. Right? Once again, I think this does tie in, ladies and gentlemen. I cover a lot of topics, but I think this 2D versus 3D thing ties in with the VTubers versus FleshTuber issue on Twitch, right? There's a big fight right now, and there's in general, hear me out. The 2D girls are winning, okay? The virtual girls are winning. And the allies and the e-girls are mad, right? They're really mad. And Paul Tassi is one of these allies, right? Because they realize their days are numbered. And the whole, like, video game, it's weird, it's very cringe, this whole like simp economy of the journalism and game journalism and all this weird, like we got to suck up to these certain people. It's gonna get kicked out for what's coming, but they don't control what's coming, and they're freaking the fuck out. So big upset over this, thinking this is this girl's naked, but he's unfortunately getting his cheeks clapped over here, even by Asman, who said, Asman, can you not do a 40-minute video on the 5 total tweets I made by Ubisoft? I'm tired. And then he realized after he said that he didn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. Oh, he's reacting to a 10-minute video someone else made. And of course, Asman claps back. It was only 38 minutes. Typical journalist lies. And even he bends the knee like the cuck right here and admits to having lost brain cells. So Ubisoft is taking some L's. Their simps are taking some L's. But there was this one article that I thought was fascinating by Fast Company, and that's talking about a quote-unquote incel victory. And I just want to spend 2 seconds on this, because this word incel has been thrown around so much, and I think it almost should be defamatory at this point, because the intent is merely to defame somebody. It's merely to saying, hey, I disagree with you, right? But this article, Fast Company here, written by Chris Morris, right, says that video game maker Ubisoft in chaos after anti-DEI backlash. So let's read through this, because I think it's pretty unhinged, actually. The response here is pretty unhinged. On September 24th, Ubisoft abruptly canceled its appearance at the Tokyo Game Show, which, by the way, I need to go to more of these conventions and game shows. I gotta get them on my calendar. And postponed all press previews of the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows. Wednesday, we learned why. Anti-DEI backlash has sent the company spinning. They continue. The Paris-based video game publisher pushed the release of its biggest game from November 12th to February 14th of next year, and warned investors that net bookings would no longer exceed 2.3 billion euros of last year and have come to a disappointing 1.95. That sent shares lower, what's already been a rough year, where they're down 57%. That's why I showed in the thumbnail. They are down big over the year. Big. And now it has stirred up activist investors, and they've called for a sale. The booking shortfall was technically due to the disappointing sales of Star Wars Outlaw. However, the underlying reason for both of these is the far-right opposition to diversity and inclusion. So there you go. You have it, ladies. The reason why Star Wars Outlaw failed and why Assassin's Creed Shadows is failing is far-right opposition. This is what we get in zero accountability culture. They don't understand that a byproduct of focusing on making DEI the top priority is that gameplay is not the top priority. When gameplay and fans are not the top priority, the game fucking sucks. Gameplay needs to be the right number one priority. The problem is that it's not. And let's look at something like Space Marine. It just focused on gameplay. It didn't tell any story. It just was 40K and 40K being 40K. It didn't have to tell anything else. Yeah, even someone mentioned Undertale. Undertale had better female characters. I agree with that one too. But Outlaws was unplayable. It's a game. Wasn't that the game where you can only, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't played Outlaws, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Outlaws the one where you can only pet the animals and you can only rob policemen? I hate to break it to you, but you're not an outlaw unless you can kill everybody, right? If you're going to make a game called Outlaw, you should be able to kill whoever you wanted in the game. There can be consequences for your actions, but there'd be like karma and stuff like that. But you should be able to kill everything and anything, like GTA, right? You want to go run people over, you should be able to do that. That's why you would make a game like that, right? If it's just virtuous and virtue signaling, well, you're not really an outlaw. You're just a do-gooder, right? It's Star Wars do-gooders, right? It's virtue signaling. And the game is full of bugs. And the main character looks like a man, right? All of these things together. Same thing with, by the way, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Everything we've seen of the gameplay looks like fucking trash. The gameplay does not look good. Also, it's horribly offensive to Japanese people to have some guy who they fucking made up in samurai outfit, right? Pretending he's Japanese, running around killing poor Japanese peasants, destroying Japanese villages, right? That can you see how that's a little offensive to a native Japanese person, right? Maybe a little bit, right? Doesn't look good. And the gameplay is nothing novel, new, or whatever else, despite what game journalists want to say. But they want to call that far right because, you just don't like it. Let's continue. Outlaws, which had a female lead character, received mostly solid reviews from professional critics, but many players gave it 0 out of 10, citing forced DI narratives and claiming developers spent more time on woke culture than on story and gameplay. But this is all true. If they spent more time on gameplay, that would be what they should do. And as just a logical company, you should be doing that. I worked for businesses and companies that wanted to make money. And you know what? We focused on the product. We focused on what we're delivering. You know why the professional critics are getting shit right now? Because they're people like Paul Tassi and like Alyssa Mercanti. They're complete fucking hacks that automatically give games out of the rip. If it's a woke game, they're going to give it 7 out of 10 at least, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Remember Dustborn? Dustborn is at the Tokyo Game Show, and there's nobody in the booth. There's less people at the booth at the Tokyo Game Show than there are playing that live. And there's like 2 or 3 people playing that game live right now. It's fucking sad. But it's because of toxicity. It's because of this backlash. Some players were also unhappy with the optional season pass model that tacked an additional $40 onto the game's price for extras. Well, hold on. You yourself gave a good reason. How can they literally tell on themselves that they are lying? They're literally giving you a legitimate reason right here over the season pass They're saying this is a legitimate reason that has nothing to do with DEI. And is a legitimate reason to not like the game. But they're saying, you know what? All criticism is far right. Are you that stupid? Really? Are you that dumb? It's a self-report. The review bombing driven by anti-DEI seemingly worked, set off a chain of events that led to Wednesday's announcement. So here's an announcement by Michael Proctor of Wedbush, probably sending it from his wife's girlfriend's closet where he's currently filming. It says, we believe Star Wars Outlaws has impacted by a coordinated effort that sought to troll Ubisoft games specifically and Star Wars content generally. This is a case of a rare incel victory that led to Ubisoft having to take down its numbers. This, my man said, unironically, incel victory. Because the funny thing is that these incels are people like Smash JT, who has a family. People like Jeremy, people like Nerdrotic, who's married, right? Like, it's funny how they don't know what the word incel means. It's like, that's not really what you think it is. Incel doesn't mean a person I disagree with on the internet who may or may not be a man. Because, by the way, there's tons of women who don't like this shit either. There's tons of based ladies out there. Shout out to my based ladies, right? That aren't okay with this. The CEO of Ubisoft said, let me address some of the polarized comments about Ubisoft lately. I want to reaffirm that we are an entertainment-first company creating games for the broadest possible audience. This actually says that you have an agenda. This is actually wrong. You should not create games for a broad audience. You should create games for a niche. All games should be niched for a certain niche of the market. Our goal is not to push an agenda. We remain committed to creating games for fans and players that everyone can enjoy. Within that, you see language like everyone, broad possible argument, or broadest possible audience, right? That is there. Also, if you look at, right? If you look at Ubisoft, let's stop this for a second. I want to show you guys something. Look right here, and let's just, go through here. They've got a diversity, inclusion, accessibility department. So when they say they don't have an agenda, like they do have a department, they do have strategies. And look at this. This is on their page. This is their own words. In their own words, Ubisoft is lying. Because look what they say here. We will create a gaming experience that pushes representation forward by embedding diversity and inclusion across our processes, increasing representation in our teams, and offering access to resources to help teams build a more authentic, inclusive, and accessible gaming experience. They're literally saying we're going to push representation as part of the gaming experience. It's a self-report, but they're pretending they're not doing that. They can't do that. You can't have it both ways, right? You can either do that, that's fine if you want to do that and fail, but don't pretend you're not. Just be honest. And share. Okay, cool. So it's unlikely to quiet far-right critics. In fact, the delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was already under fire by that group for having a female ninja and a black samurai. No one cared about the ninja. No one actually cared about the ninja. So this is fake news that anybody cared about the ninja. Nobody cared about the ninja. Female ninjas are fine. Female samurai, a little bit more questionable, although there were historically some female samurai. Yes, that's fine if you want to cover it in the historical sense. I'm a little bit less mad about the female samurai because that was a thing historically in a certain area, a certain time period, etc. You know, I leave it to my Japanese brothers and sisters to nitpick that one. But female ninja, no one's mad about. It's the black samurai thing. It's Yasuke. Gamergate friendly forums, see, there we go. Once again, using buzzwords, right? Are already celebrating the announcement and taking a victory lap with a few racist comments thrown in. But the gameplay mechanics weren't what caused pre-release backlash. Yes, it was. People also talked about the gameplay being shit. It was not only a historically inaccurate, culturally insensitive game, but the gameplay was also shit. The development team has found itself on the defensive for its choice to include a black protagonist. He is based on it. Look at this, spreading the slander that it's based on an actual black samurai. No, there's zero proof of that. See, this is misinformation. This is fake news. This person is citing Thomas Lockley, who has been thoroughly debunked that that Yasuke is at all a samurai. There is zero proof that he is an actual black samurai. That statement is a lie. We strive for authenticity in everything we do, says Assassin's Creed. We are inspired by historical events. From its inception, the series' creative license incorporated fantasy elements crafted together for an immersive experience. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him ideal candidate to tell an Assassin's Creed story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. Despite the anti-DEI backlash, Ubisoft doesn't seem like it's making radical changes to the next Assassin's Creed. The company, in its announcement Wednesday, vowed to fulfill the promise of our dual protagonist adventure, with Now and Yasuke bringing two very different gameplay styles. Well, it's probably too late to edit it out there. And apparently, there's an activist investor who's pushing for the sale of Ubisoft to a third party. That would be huge. If, as a result of this, they end up selling off that gaming sector.